Hello and welcome to the Wire Talks. I'm Sidharth Bhatia. The sudden upsurge of detention and even expulsion of Bengali speakers from different parts of the country has taken everyone by surprise. On the face of it, this drive is to identify and expel illegal Bangladeshi migrants, but many Indian Bengali Muslims and even Hindus have been detained or pushed across the border into Bangladesh and left there. In Assam and Rajasthan, they've been put in detention centers, and in other places, they have been rounded up without any chance of proving their identities. Their homes have been bulldozed. Migrant Bengali speakers are being threatened in different parts of the country. Not surprisingly, Bengali speakers from the working classes, especially, have run away back to Bengal. A political war has broken out between Mamata Bannerjee and the BJP, but the bigger questions that arise: why is this happening? Why go after internal migrants in this reckless and ruthless fashion? What are the implications of this? To analyze this issue, I invited Jawhar Sircar, who has been a bureaucrat and a politician. Sircar was in the IAS for almost 40 plus years, ending as the CEO of Prasar Bharati, and then was in a Rajya Sabha for 3.5 years till he resigned from the House in September 2024 against the TMC's handling of the protests against the West Bengal government. A great advocate of plurality and diversity, he regularly writes trenchant pieces against the BJP and the TMC and on many other subjects, and takes up public causes against corruption. Jawhar Sircar, welcome to the Wire Talks.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you make of these incidents which allegedly are aimed at weeding out Bangladeshi migrants?
The timing is very significant. Timing is very significant. The first effort was made within a few days of Pahalgam, and it was done in Ahmedabad, where hundreds of Bengali immigrants their houses were bulldozed and they were made to stand in a stadium for a whole day and night, awaiting identification. I think 6 or 8 illegal migrants were found, but the staggering number, I think it was 700 or something, shows that the target was the Bengali immigrant as such. Now, with this net practice in Gujarat, it got away. People approached the courts because of the bulldozing of the colony and in the light of the Supreme Court order that this is illegal. But the Gujarat High Court kept quiet. It didn't intervene. It did not implement the Supreme Court's orders, especially because the mood was post-Pahalgam, whipped up mood to deflect attention from the failure of the security and failure of intelligence in protecting tourists. Be that as it may, this incident was immediately after Pahalgam, and after that, the Home Ministry seems to have got its act together and issued circulars. The dreadful ones that are we at least I have seen being issued and perhaps even contributed to their issue. Very dreadful, very somber sounding ones that India's security is under threat and therefore we need to rise and awake and find out, and all are to report compliance within such and such hour. So this circular and this monitoring by the Home Ministry is the strange part of it. Why now? Why now? Coupled with this, this over-enthusiastic or over-friendly to the regime, new Chief Election Commissioner, Ganesh Kumar, who has a track record of being more loyal than necessary. He's the one who went in for 370, and to see that the screws are tightened to the extent possible, he has this, he's a Sanghi. He's a Sanghi IAS. So he went in, tried to smuggle in an NRC citizenship angle to the Bihar intensive role revision, which was sort of not agreed to by the courts, mercifully. Mercifully. Now, the whole thing appears to be orchestrated. Uh, that there are Bangladeshi immigrants in India is known from 1971 onwards. You know, we had this period when you or your grandparents or grandparents born in undivided India and all that, you didn't require papers. But post 71 and post Assam agitation, these were tightened up and you required papers. So post 70, it was known that the stream was continuing. People were infiltrating in, walking in, uh, walking in quite plainly. We have to understand that the border, we call it the Radcliffe border in Bengal, has failed. It was completely artificial. But then the border in Punjab was equally artificial. Equally artificial, excepting that it also took the help of geographical boundaries like rivers and canals and all that. The same happened in Bengal. The It succeeded in Punjab because of the ferocious hatred on both sides for each other. Number one. Number two, the people who came to India and Indian Punjab and prospered were actually not doing so well historically on the other side. So their prosperity and their good fortunes were all linked to India, and their hatred for their former place, uh, West Punjab, is actually heightened. Be that as it may, again, let's move on to eastern part, Bangladesh. In West Bengal and Bangladesh, the situation is just the reverse. I can say without fear of contradiction, even during the worst of relations, that people in the East, that is Bangladesh, still have a soft sentiment or roots with Kolkata. In other words, while our Punjabi friends in India look upon Lahore still culturally as their cultural capital, there's a tendency here to look at Calcutta. So the two are completely different. Besides, the hatred between the Bengali Muslim and the Bengali Hindu was never, I say it at the cost of contradiction that I can refute, was never as brutal, as ferocious as in Punjab. That you have to understand, and that goes profusely in Nehru's writings to B.C. Roy, repeatedly over 4 years, saying that even I don't believe that this can happen. Now, an artificial border, emotional links that just can't be surgically cut off, economic um, economic betterment in the West by moving to the West, and families seared in between. My family, for instance, is one that is seared. My uncle stayed back, so I have my uncle, he is dead. I have something like 24, 26 cousins and what their wives and their spouses and their children still there, and we keep talking. We keep talking. It can't be so brutal. I don't know how many Punjabi families have this sort of a thing.
No, I wouldn't say there are. That applies in Punjab.
Ah, whether among the Muslim families, yes, there is migration going on even now, Punjabi Muslims and the same. But here it is Hindus and Muslims. So immigration has been taking place for a long time. The question is how much. The question is how threatening is it? That is the question. Now,
No,
there's a theory bandied by the present regime that every Bangladeshi is a Muslim and is a terrorist and is out to destroy India. Now, this is a pack full of lies, complete pack full of lies, because even after 2.5 months of the worst type of ethnic semi-cleansing, if I may put it, ethnic semi-cleansing, nothing was left apart from killing them, you could only send 1,500 people back to Bangladesh. with so many states, something like 13 states working jointly together, only 1,500 have been sent. The government of India refuses to release figures. Human Rights Watch has us 15, and then on calculation say the highest could be 4,000. What numbers are we talking? What numbers are we talking about? Surely the number is higher than 15 and 4,000. There are surely many more people from illegal immigrants from Bangladesh in India. But this particular operation was aimed at putting the fear of God in the Bengali, West Bengali Indian Muslim. Now, why? The West Bengali Indian Muslim that account for about 30% of Bengal's vote, 28, 29, 30% of Bengal's vote, has never voted for the BJP and will never vote for the BJP. This 30% is a very, very big balancing factor. Now, if you can't win them over with sweet talk and with rough talk, they indulge in both. Modi himself has indulged in both. Amit Shah has indulged in both. Beat the hell out of them. Beat the hell out of them. Scare them. Scare them in that you'll have to come outside to the rest of India. You be nice to us and we'll be nice to you. That is one theory doing the round.
Yeah, but that's counterproductive for the BJP, isn't it? I mean, if it does that, it will never get that vote. So, what's
It
the plan?
is the plan is that BJP's vote in Bengal that's crossed 40% is purely Hindu, obviously. 40% of the votes cast is purely Hindu. They thought or they think that if they can cross over by another 3 to 4%, then they can negate and supersede Mamata Bannerjee's votes, which is a large section of the 30% of Muslims. Not everyone votes for they vote for others, Congress, they vote for left, they vote for anyone, but they may not win, but they have their loyalties. If they can negate the portion that Mamata Bannerjee gets by just another 3 to 4% of Bengali Hindus, or because in any case, the upcountry Hindus, as they are called in Bengal, upcountry Hindus, are 99% in favor of BJP. What we call the Hindi belt Hindus are almost everyone in favor of. I mean, openly and loudly, and they finance it also through legit way and in many other methods. It's all known. So if they can cross over and win around 4% more or 5% more of the Bengal Hindu vote, they think they'll be able to negate the gap between themselves and Mamata. And that can be done by a ferocious show of patriotism, large dose of Islamophobia, and this matches so well in the climate where Bangladesh obliges the fanatics on this side by having their own bunch of lunatic fanatics. It fits it. It's an atmosphere filled with fear on both sides. So I have seen middle class, good, generally secular Bengalis speak very, very bad against the Yunus regime. ये क्या कर रहे? What are they doing? And the national media is also playing on to it by amplifying every incident in Bangladesh. Listen, we haven't had a chance to know what is the opinion of Bangladesh. The bunch of people who are ruling today are just about legit, legitimate, just about. And as the army that put them there reminds Yunus from time to time that you are just overstaying your period, interim period. You were supposed to draft the constitution and to hold the election, which is normally done in 3 to 6 months. And you seem to have taken a permanent settlement of Bengal. Now, my problem is we don't know what the Bangladeshis want. We know exactly what the Bangladeshi quoted, Yunus quoted. backed by Jamaat and other extremist parties, we know what they want. They want sheer hatred with India. They are pro-Pakistani. That spirit never died down in Bangladesh. It just contracted. So these factors, as I said, the Bangladesh disturbance, Bangladesh attacks on Hindu, this sort of thing combined. This is one theory that Amit Shah and Modi have let loose this one to win the applause of the fence sitter Bengalis, the fence sitters, those who are by and large secular and that. But this is not the final theory because there is another one that's more interesting, I'll tell you.
No, so before we come to that, you said, which is pretty much what you've said now, that the planned hounding of Bengali immigrants, poor Bengali immigrants, this is what you wrote, across India through brazenly biased and intimidatory terror reveal not just Islamophobic gene of the Parivar, but is a war on all Bengalis. Now, that is significant. Why do you say it's a war on all Bengalis?
I have repeated what is being felt. It is very, very painful for me even to capture these words. It is to even capture these words, but it is exactly the feeling that is going on now. Yesterday, Mamata Bannerjee, supposedly a responsible chief minister, kicked off her second Bhasha Angolan. Now, the word Bhasha Angolan, which means language movement, was used in 1952 when Jinnah's troops shot dead four martyrs. Now they're called martyrs. They're immortal in the history of Bangladesh. The four language martyrs who braved their chests before the army and police and all that. Now that has a very, very emotional trigger where Bengal is concerned. And as you know, the 21st of February 1952, the 21st day of February has been declared to be the United Nations Day for Mother Language, for the mother language. It's reached that portion. Now, the Mamata Banerjee's invocation of Bhasha Andolan, where it was क्या कहूँ, the migrants broadened the issue to cover all Bengalis. And that's exactly what she's trying to do now. Broaden the issue to say that, listen, this is not a time to clap because somebody has replied to Yunus and the Jamaat gangs part gangsterism in Bangladesh. This is the time when the entire Bengali people have been insulted. This brand of sub-nationalism is dangerous. Dangerous anywhere, anywhere. It has never happened in Bengal. If you noticed, it has happened in so many other states. You had a Telugu Desham, which means you had it in Maharashtra Shiv Sena. You had it in Tamil Nadu's DMK. Bouts of, you had it in Punjabi Suba, you had it in Bhedranwale, you had it in Assam on an ongoing basis. You had it in Odisha. It was never, never there in Bengal. Bengal prided itself, still prides itself to be above all this. Uh, the proof, well, 70 lakh people are there in the Calcutta metropolitan area and a little beyond. 70 lakh people who freely speak their mother tongue and have never, never been discriminated on that ground. Chief Secretary after Chief Secretary in Bengal, DGP after DGP in Bengal are all from outside. So Bengal had this sort of thing in them saying that we have gone above it all. Now, the sudden appeal to all Bengalis, to the Bhasha movement, you know where the Bhasha movement in Bangladesh, East Pakistan led to. It started in 52 and ended in 71 December. Now, it's an ominous term even to use, but then she used it. She used it. And that is what Modi is generating, perhaps deliberately, perhaps deliberately.
So, in fact, it may generate sentiments which are difficult to then control.
I have written that it may flare out of control. Because today Mamta is in complete control of the movement. She and her group are in complete control of the movement. Tomorrow you may not know that another extreme group comes out saying that Mamta is not serving the Bengali cause and therefore we undertake a separate, more violent route. What happens then? What happens there? God forbid. God forbid there is a huge cultural buffer zone in Bengal that will prevent it. Much more than I can say with a little bit of historical pride. A buffer zone that's much wider than in many other states. They don't come down to caste and region and things like that. They talk of world revolutions and a lot of other irrelevant things, but they don't come down to these things. But if the chief minister is taking up the issue not as an unprovoked assault on migrant labor. Now, listen, there are three categories of Bengalis who are settled outside. One are a lot of permanent people who've gone there during the British era, even before, during the Rajas in Jaipur, in many other places. These are what we call the old grand Pravasis of Bengal. They are there for 3 generations, 5 generations. That's one. Many of them, all of them know the local language better than Bengali, but they have stuck to Rabindranath and Nazrul, whatever. The second group is one that goes for work. The executives, the bank officers, the private sector company officers, and others of all classes. And most of them would like to come back home, but if they find a plot somewhere else in Andhra or in somewhere else, or if their daughter marries a local, they stay back, something like that. So it's pretty open about that. So these are the two classes. The third class we are talking about is the seasonal migrant labor. This seasonal migrant labor is a relatively new thing. Bengal has seasonal migrant labor coming from other states, especially Odisha and Bihar. But today, Bengal is sending seasonal migrant labor outside, is bound to send. Why? You have seen the systematic manner in which that seasonal gap of 100 days labor, that is Narega, was deliberately stopped in Bengal for the last 3 to 4 years. It provided a necessary gap, necessary filler for people who had no work during 70, 80 days. This group has to go out. And coincidentally, these groups are mainly from those districts like Murshidabad, Malda, Birbhum, uh, Nadia, and others that are predominantly Muslim always. They were predominantly Muslim before independence also and continue to remain. They refuse to come over, cross over, and join East Bengal, East Pakistan, or Bangladesh. They said, why the hell should I go? I mean, this is my land. They stayed back. They are the skilled masons who are required for the buildings of Bombay. They are the skilled electrical engineers. They are the skilled goldsmiths that are required. So this is the group that is being attacked. That is being attacked. And attacked deliberately, mercilessly, and ineffectively. The result of people arrested to the number of people identified and deported is so minuscule that government of India is refusing to reveal figures.
It may
It's a
be,
hmm?
it may be so, but as you said, when things get inflamed, you never know where they lead. But before I follow up, because I think that is a thing that we should concentrate on. Uh, you mentioned Bangladesh, which you have touched upon. Is the what's happening in Bangladesh also kind of playing into the hands of this BJP government?
Yes, yes. The BJP government has, or rather, let me be more frank. The government of India, even before the BJP, during the UPA period as well, ever since Hasina came to power for the second time, been taking patronizing role there. Now, once the BJP came and started its depredations upon Muslims, one thought that Hasina would break off or go in for protest. But surprisingly, Hasina went in for even a deeper understanding with the communal government in India. Now, that did not go well with the Bengalis on the other side. I mean, the Bangladeshi Muslims. They did not like it at all because Bangladeshi Muslims were by and large reactive. Before one of the major riots started after the Hazrat Bal incident in Srinagar.
Yeah.
Another major riot started after Babri Masjid. So they usually reacted to Indian riots, Bhivandi riots and all that. So they were a reactive, they were not a very proactive righteous people as such. So they didn't. So Hasina's regime was by and large seen, at least in the last 7 to 8 years, as an increasingly oppressive, increasingly corrupt regime and a regime where people just disappeared. And this was the regime that India was supporting. I had retired mercifully by that time. I had retired stroke resigned mercifully from government by that time. And I was reporting back that for God's sake, take a human look at the people of Bangladesh. Don't take a regime centric look. It didn't work. The Foreign Service establishment went on supporting, and not only the Foreign Service establishment, another establishment took over. Another establishment took over. And these two establishments between them lost Bangladesh to an American inspired revolt. Now, after licking their wounds, they decided to go on what we call Gussagar. Gussagar. Now, that is a very, very inane and a puerile way of dealing with it. I am surprised at the maturity that the Foreign Office has shown and the Prime Minister has shown where Maldives is concerned. You remember the childish, infantile reaction to Maldives voting against India
Yeah.
was treated. And
Yes.
then you notice that over a period, India decided to stretch itself to make friends again with Maldives. And we have made it up to such an excellent diplomatic level that the Chinese press has made ugly comments about it. Now, instead of trying to do the same in Bangladesh, at least if not now, this regime is, as I said, quasi-illegit. It's crossed its date. This regime is led by a person who has a visceral hatred for India and for Hasina. So, and it's surprising because he's a Nobel laureate and one expected a certain degree of fairness from him. And he's run by a bunch of hot-headed student leaders who have never come through the democratic route. Now, Bangladesh is slated to go for elections. Okay? If Mohammad Yunus gets his way, it would be 2 to 3 years later. He has given some date in April or May, but I am told by people who know Bangladesh well enough that the election has to be held before Ramadan in February. In February. So we are only few months away from the elections when the actual mood of Bangladesh will be revealed. We, the Indian press and the Bengali media and the Bengali people who are more interested in Bangladesh than the rest of India, are surmising that Bangladesh has turned communal. I would not submit to a theory like that. I know the land a bit too much, a bit better. So I would not submit to it. But if you go on making provocative things, if you go on playing tit for tat, if you go in for an economic blockade, if you show your anger and petulance at every step, it will not be targeted to Yunus, and Yunus wants exactly that. It will percolate down to the people that India is really anti-Bangladesh. So that's another game that's playing out. And this selective hounding of Bangladeshi, of Bengali citizens in the name of Bangladeshi is also something that's spreading there, causing angst. So it serves a multiple purpose. The major purpose that it serves to the BJP is that you get ready to made human punching bags. You have gone on saying for the last 11 years and even before that India is infested with termite like people, hateful people who are out to destroy India. I don't know where they got the evidence from. And therefore, ready made punching bags are available to the police authorities and the BJP's strong armed people in every state to bash up people who can't retaliate. So, you can let go that anger, that psychic thing within you. It all works out in their favor. But the one that I think, and there's a lot of talk going on in Bengal about it, is a little more twisted. And this one goes like this, that all these calculations of crossing another 4% to get the fence sitting Bengali Hindu votes, there's a lot of hot air. What is actually happening is Mamata Bannerjee has slid in popularity for the last 1.5 years. It started with Sandesh Khali. There were other incidents. The RG car incident where we had protests for 5 months. Believe me, I have been in student politics from 1968. I have never seen such protests in my life. I have never seen such protests in such spontaneous, vibrant, and real protests. I quit the post of an MP when I saw people all around me. It's such sheer organic unity against the government. So this sort of thing is going on in Bengal. First it was then it was RG Kar, and then it was the cash for teachers post scam,
Yes.
and now there's this rape of a girl here in a law college. All these incidents had put Mamta and her goons. She has a lot of goons, much too many goons for comfort, on the back foot. Modi, I think, is tangentially handing over the Bengal elections to her. One question: why is he doing so? He is doing so, if this theory works out correct, he is doing so because he knows that he will never be able to win Bengal. Whatever it is, that last mile connectivity will not be there because of what is said in Bengal about 200 years of anti orthodoxy, 200 years of anti casteism, and all that. So he'll never be able to get through. What he can get through is the second biggest opposition party to destroy opposition unity. To destroy opposition unity. Now, this one is a bizarre theory. If you sit back and think it out, it is not as bizarre as it sounds. Because there was
Well,
no need for Modi and Shah to rescue and embattled Mamata Banerjee TMC government, which was playing on the back foot. They are now right on the front foot. They've left the crease and they're putting sixers one after the other. Who allowed it? The real issues of Bengal have been thrown under the carpet, and even the Bengal BJP is worried, very, very worried. What on earth is happening? How do we defend ourselves before the people? So that this theory that I've just put, the postulate that I've put, is doing a lot of rounds in Bengal. That in log mein, aapas mein, they have an understanding,
well, you know
which
how
was
it is. Political theories keep floating around. Uh, I mean, the inner talk and all that kind of thing. And if if they are actually tangentially or behind the scenes helping Mamta because they can't win, uh, these kind of talks, I think one way or the other, as you because the theme of what you're saying is appearing to be that there is an unfortunate possibility that a conflagration may break because this kind of thing can't go on for too long, this hounding, and that is, I
yes,
think, the nub of the entire issue here. uh,
yes.
so which bring me to something that I've been waiting to ask you, as a civil servant, as a politician, as a public intellectual. when you look at what the EC is doing, yes, you did mention that the commissioner was a hardcore BJP man. When you
He's a
look at
Sanghi.
it,
I put it, he's a Sanghi. Hmm.
Sangi, okay, well,
Sunil,
stronger.
Sunil Mittal was, Sunil Kumar was bad. Sunil Arora was bad. This beach major Pradeep was also not so good. But this one is a Sanghi. This one, there's no two doubts about it. You know,
Okay.
our reputations float around within the service. So this one is out for a dangerous game. Even the
Now
Supreme Court has told him.
to accept Aadhaar.
Supreme Court has said that look, if your so-called special intensive revision leads to large-scale disenfranchisement of people, and it can be proved, then we may have to intervene. Now that is a threat that the Supreme Court has never, I repeat, never given since 1947. The Supreme Court has been shy of the Election Commission. I have been Chief Election Officer for Bengal for 2 parliamentary elections and been associated with the process for 30, 40 years. The Supreme Court has respected the Commission's area. That statement made yesterday or day before is
Yes.
very dangerous. That if you don't do it, so even they realize that they are up with against a demented fellow, against a demented commission.
No,
So
so yeah, so that was my question. So he's continuously doing it. What is the thinking behind the complex, convoluted procedure, the absolutely, I would say, perverted procedure of the EC, where it is demanding that people prove their citizenship despite having everything? What is the thinking?
uh, he is implementing. When he was told to implement Article 370 in the Home Ministry, he went the whole hog. You remember those statements we used to make about emergency. They're told to bend and they crawled, that sort of
Yes,
thing. 370, he has a record in 370. Incidentally, the fellow is an efficient officer, whichever way. I mean, he may have gone over to the devil, but he's an efficient officer in his own right. But having said that, he is trying, as you and I have guessed, to implement NRC. Bihar was what we call the net practice for Bengal. Bihar was the net practice. Bengal comes next year's election. So he thought if he could get through with this in Bihar, NRC would be implemented in Bengal in spite of Bengal and in spite of Mamata Bannerjee, in spite of everyone else. Now, one thing, that one must remember is that when we express so much worry, angst, and fear about the dreaded Bangladeshi immigrant, remember that in Assam, the majority of illegal Bangladeshi immigrants were Bengali Hindus, if you remember the NRC figures.
yes.
In Bengal, 2 parliamentary seats come from a community of Bengali Hindus that the BJP has won over, promising them statehood on a discriminatory basis. Discriminatory basis. So, what we are talking about is that immigration from Bangladesh has not necessarily been Muslim. The Muslimization of immigration as a sole factor is a creation of the BJP Sikh mind. I know for certain that how many families known to me have had people cross over the last 30 years. So it's an ongoing thing even in the Hindu families, and more so in the Hindu families because they have families who can take care of them. Whereas in Murshidabad and Malda and others, you have families who can take care, Muslim families who can take care of brothers across the border. Imagine the reality of the whole thing. You are in Ara, and your daughter has been married in Balia, and tomorrow Balia becomes a different country, and your third cousin is in Chapra. I mean, how do you separate Ara, Balia, and Chapra? I mean, it's impossible. So it's something like that that you have to understand that only trainloads of dead bodies has happened in Punjab. Only rivers of blood has happened in Punjab can can do this dirty job. Wherever we didn't have rivers of blood and trainloads of dead bodies, it's very difficult to go in for surgical operations. So this is, and remember, last year the US government's figures of 95,000 people, illegal Indian immigrants caught at the borders of the US.
Yes.
95,000 the number, exactly half of them were from Gujarat. Now, if the Bangladeshis are termites, which Mr. Amit Shah has said, I don't know what term he has for these Gujarati who were caught at the gate. And that's
Many
only
of
those who were caught. We're
many
not
of
even
whom
discussing the last 70 years
many
immigration.
of whom were sent to India in chains.
So you understand. So it's a universal problem.
No, my question regarding what's happening in Bihar and what you said is net practice, very well put. Uh, the EC, you're saying, is going to sneak in NRC, but it has taken upon itself to check citizenship. So, a broader philosophical question and practical question: how do you prove as an Indian that you are a citizen? What do I do? For example, what do I do? And what do millions do if they're told, please prove your citizenship? It's really impossible at the moment, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If Mr. Modi can produce his father's certificate of birth and his mother's certificate of birth, then I'll give him a prize. Because it's a father and mother's certificate of birth. That is point number one. I can't produce. I put it up on the social media saying I don't know the exact date on which my father was born. He had no birth certificate. My mother never had any birth certificate. And both of them were born in undivided India in East Bengal. I have no birth certificate. I'm sure you don't have any birth certificate of the
Not
time
and
they.
not at all in my hand. No.
So I have a type sheet from my school when I went in for my school board exams that says this is my date of birth, and it mentions Calcutta also. So if that piece of paper is accepted, I am a citizen, or they can evict me to the US or somewhere, or maybe to Seychelles, wherever they feel like.
So you're
The
choosing
entire
nice.
idea, and when they do NRC in Bengal through proxy, that the plan is when they plan to do NRC in Bengal in proxy, the funniest thing that will come out is something like Assam. That the largest number of Bengali, Bangladeshi immigrants are Hindus. Are Hindus. Otherwise, why on earth did you need to bring in that discriminatory citizenship amendment? You know it. You know it for yourself. That's why you brought it. You are openly saying that अभी अभी implement कर दूंगा तो बेटा तुम लोग को सबको मिल जाएगा citizenship certificate. ये सिर्फ 11 साल हुआ ना हमें और तुम 11-22 साल दे दो हम कर देंगे. That they are on record. So what illegal immigrant are you talking about? Are you talking about? Are you disguising your Islamophobic hatred under the name of illegal immigrants? Or are you being clear that any Bangladeshi who has come in, who has crossed the line without documents and has not registered or has not been granted citizenship certificate before the amendment, is an illegal immigrant, irrespective of whether they are Hindus or Muslims? It's a complex problem. It's a complex problem. At the present playing out of the problem is actually helping only Mamata Bannerjee. And that is squaring the pitch because we have just about 8 months for the elections and the angst against her was building up. There is a natural protection against the BJP. We will never cross that line. And there was a little hope that there might be some show of anger at the degree of corruption and dadagiri that is taking place in in Bengal. That seems to be stymied. Nobody's talking about these protests anymore. Everybody's talking of देखो कहाँ मारा, कहाँ पीटा, किसको मारा, क्यों पीटा. This sort of thing. The entire narrative has been seized by the BJP as usual. And it's
And
leading, it's playing a dangerous game. The BJP is known to be playing dangerous games. When L.K. Advani took his Rath Yatra, he wasn't doing it for showering petals from helicopters like this fellow in UP does. He was doing it because he wanted to stoke violence. He wanted to stoke violence. So the BJP is used to playing with violence or stoking counter violence. Stoking counter violence, the Bombay blast, remember?
yes,
So it does it on a purpose because it needs a schism. Just like the ISI planted Pulwama to ensure that the 2019 elections go for a six. Because the ISI doesn't need a friendly government in India. The ISI and the military establishment of Pakistan needs an enemy to prosper, to get more money, to get more budget, to make more money the wrong way, the right way. So they need an enemy. So they got the required enemy with Pulwama. So the BJP operates almost like that. Lives don't matter. Oh, Modi had once said, if a dog comes in front of my car, what can I do? So they play around. They play very dangerous. They are playing dangerous. My only hope is that the much repeated 200 years of reformation and unorthodoxy and tolerance and secularism and all that comes into test and there is no outburst in the state against anyone else. It has never happened before. Inshallah, let it never happen. Never happened. Had it happened in any other state, maybe any other state, I shouldn't say so vociferously, there would have been, buses would have been set on fire. सोच के देखिए सोच के देखिए if you are
where
hitting.
where do you think that threshold is going to be?
As of now, people are just angry. Many fence sitters are saying, yes, Mamta is voicing our angst and concern. And as I said, a large section is saying, Pata nahi in log ka understanding ho gaya hoga. In log ka understanding ho gaya hoga. Because you see, there has been no accepting starving Bengal with funds, not putting a single project in the last 11 years in Bengal, attracting all projects with a bribery called PLI, and much of it is fraud in Gujarat, snatching projects from Maharashtra to Gujarat, all sorts of games. Not a single thing has been done for Bengal. And the safety net scheme of 100 days work, Narega, has been stopped now for 3 to 4 years. You are following the what they call the burnt earth, scorched earth policy. Scorched
Hmm.
earth policy. And this lady is also playing ball as long as she can remain in power through whatever force and whatever funding. As you saw that even in that legitimate funding, that electoral bond, it
Hmm.
was not Congress that was second. She was second. And everyone knows that electoral bond is only the white layer of political funding. So, I mean, it's the people of Bengal are going in through a terrible phase. When deindustrialization has taken place, when the only industry is to extort money from builders who are building multi-storied houses, when the only pastime is to organize another fest or a DJ night or a puja, when there is absolute the greatest of job is a delivery boy, people are leaving the state even now because exam results have not been announced in time and therefore they need to get admitted elsewhere. So all sorts of mismanagement is going on. who went wholeheartedly in support of the lady, you remember?
Yes.
Wholeheartedly because she's a fighter. She is a fighter. I will now say she was a fighter. I'm using a past tense because if you closely follow her parliamentary tactics over the last 3 years, you will find that every time there was a major opposition show, she found some reason to stay away from it, including Dhankar's election or whatever. Everywhere she had a dissident voice. Please remove Rahul Gandhi or whoever and make me the leader of the India front.
But
Then
she called
only
him
I'll
her.
agree.
She called him like
Ah,
she hugged him and she called him all kinds of pleasant names.
she did. But when it came to the vote, we were told that, nobody votes for the Congress candidate. हमसे पूछा नहीं ना. That sort of thing. I mean, she comes up with something odd like, I wasn't asked, therefore I will not vote. The greater issue of opposition unity is only a subordinate issue to her and comes up alive if she is made the supreme leader of the united front against the BJP. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. And that cannot last. I mean, that would not be acceptable to the other parties who are doing equally good. Why should the DMK accept? Why should the AAP in its still form accept?
Yeah,
So
well,
that is why, I mean, that is taken again.
AAP itself is in and
So
out and
this
out.
is the.
Jawhar, you've explained a very complex situation well, but it all roads lead to a possible kind of, you know, not a good situation. All roads could lead to something. You said the 200-year-old uh, force of tolerance should not burst. We don't know, but there are all kinds of political dimensions to this. The net, what we have to look at is the Bengalis are being beaten up all over the country and not beaten up by the ordinary person. Remember that. I mean, it's a very significant thing. They're not being beaten up by the neighbor or something like that. They are being beaten up by the state. uh, so this is not a good situation. We hope that somewhere some kind of situation may arise where it gets pulled back, but we don't know. So, thank you so much for explaining it to our listeners. And we
Thank you.
really, I mean, at the end of it, I'd set out to talk to you about all these things, but I'd set out with the thing that you would explain in clinically, etc. But it's clearly becoming a very highly emotionally
Volatile,
charged
volatile issue, very volatile
and emotionally charged.
and
So,
emotionally charged.
thank you very much
Thank you. Thank you.
for participating
Thank
in this. That was
thank you.
Jawhar Sircar,
Thank you.
public intellectual, former civil servant, and politician, explaining why the Bengalis are being rounded up in different states under the guise of locating illegals, illegal Bangladeshis, and to, as he said, the total number of illegal Bangladeshis that have been found is hardly a significant number. We'll be back again next week with another guest. Till then, thank you very much for joining us at the Wire Talks. From me, Sidharth Bhatia, and the rest of the team, goodbye.